casting Christoph Waltz in this part, I think you might think that this is a comedy. There's a lot of humor in it. I think ultimately there's more to it. He's pretty tragic, really.
Yes.
But still, he does a lot of comedy, and he's very funny in it. Can you just tell me how you came about the idea to give him this role, or to ask him to be in this film, because it is kind of a different spin for him.
But that's what's nice. I mean, he was spectacular in Quentin's films, in both of them. And here was a chance to be very different, because he's a great actor, and I just thought, well, in his particular case, it intrigues me because he was a good actor for year after year after year, while others were getting famous, succeeding. And he was 52 before the world recognized how great he was. Okay, there's a lot of stuff going on inside there to have dealt with all those years. That's what I was intrigued by. And the even better fact that he was bankable.
Yeah.
This is really, I can't work with actors who aren't bankable. They don't get me the money.
Well, so you have to, you've learned, obviously, that you need to always keep that business sense, the artistic side and the business sense going.
I don't understand why somebody is bankable. In Christoph's case, it's obvious why he's bankable. But there are other people that the market, for whatever reason, thinks are going to be bankable, and so they're gambling on that, and I can't see why they believe that.
I think that's a different religion that you have to subscribe to
exactly.
understand. So do you play video games? Because, all his stuff in this, it feels very much from a gamer mentality.
Well, that was my thinking, is because as written, it would be just the way you normally see computer people working, black background, numbers going, right. What is that? It's bull.
Right.
And I wanted something that would allow him and allow the film to fly for a moment. He's in his element, and so I wanted it to be like a video game, because it's the only time there's real action in the film. Whoa, you're swooping and soaring, and he's flying around manipulating these things. That's a better way of doing it. And I got obsessed with the idea of entities. What's an entity? I don't know. But if you put the power of 6, I got into. That's the cube. So you put a father, a mother, a child, a dog, 2 children, a dog, and a house. That's an entity. That's called a family. Right. Now you put that into the machinery, and that goes around. So I was working that way.
Yeah. Well, he even seems to not really understand he's surprised by what some of his work has brought about as well at times.
But that's the other point I was trying to make. Here's just a drone. A guy, he's really good at his job, but he's not thinking about what it means, what the effect it might have. And that's most people in corporations. That's just how people work.
Can you empathize with that? Because this is a recurring thing in your films. It seems, is this worker drone, and also this outsider, the guy who doesn't know where to stand at the party.
I know. I just it's so autobiographical, all my work. Who would believe that such a cool guy like myself doesn't know where to stand at the party? So much of all my films are about responsibility. It's really at the heart of it. Brazil. Sam is somebody who chooses not to take responsibility by not rising to the level of his competence.
Right.
He avoids that because he's not taking responsibility. Cohen doesn't even think about it. He's so stuck in he's so egocentric, basically, with his own problems and his own need for a meaning to his life. So he doesn't even responsibility, except his only responsibility is he gets the job done on time. In fact, quicker than most of the others.
Yeah. I did that already. Yeah,
exactly.
So, you see yourself having been in that state of mind at times. Do you feel that you weren't fulfilling your potential when you were doing before you did Brazil, or?
No, I worked on the Chevrolet assembly line, so I understand about repetition and what you're supposed to do. And in fact, the reason I left that very important job was because I was cleaning off all the glass in the car of all the inspector's grease pencil marking. And I was very diligent in my work as the cars, 52 cars an hour coming through. Yeah. And you're working at night. It's night shift. And the stuff you clean the stuff off is an ammonia solution, which drips in your eyes when you're trying to get this. Anyway, this is going on. So I'm doing my job very diligently. Only one day I followed the line after I'd cleaned up the car and went around the corner and came back. I saw the cars covered with new grease pencil marks. I thought I was sending him out into the world clean and perfect. And that was it. And I quit. I just said, this for a lark. I thought I was doing something that was changing and making things better. Right. So that's why I'm...
Good thing you discovered that, though, right? for yourself and for us. Can we talk about your work? Do you have a favorite?
Not really. I choose not to look at them most of the time, so I don't even know what they are anymore.
Really?
Yeah, I don't. I've wanted to get distant enough from all my films so I can watch them like somebody who's never seen them before. Huh. How the public sees them.
Do you get to that? Can you get to that point?
Occasionally. It was interesting. I watched Fisher King just over a week ago because Criterion Collection are putting out a Blu-ray and they wanted me to check it technically. And I'd forgotten so much of it, and it was really refreshing to watch it. I thought, whoa, hello, this is all right. On the other hand, I also thought, wow, it's kind of, I wouldn't have done that now.
Interesting.
It doesn't mean I'm better now.
Right.
I may have been better then. I'm skewed in the way I look at things.
You're different.
Who knows? Yeah.
Well, my wife's like, well, what's a director? What does a director do? I'm like, well, so if you give 5 people a script, you're going to get 5 different things. The same script, right? Yeah, so I mean, that's
and that's it. And the Terry Gilliam that made Brazil is not the one that's sitting here.
Right.
They're all, you change because they're really, well, my stuff is always about me dealing with the world as it is at that particular moment, and then transforming it and playing with it and all that. Yeah. And I changed in the course of my life. So the films do too.
Hopefully, yeah. So I know that your Don Quixote is back. Hopefully, for you, maybe I know. Do you know beyond that? Would you?
No, the only thing that's interesting at the moment is that Richard LeGravenese, who wrote Fisher King, we wrote a film right after that, a script, the Defective Detective, and it's been in the bowels of one of the studios ever since. And we're thinking about, in fact, we're meeting tomorrow to talk about, can we expand it into a miniseries?
Oh, miniseries, television.
Because isn't that where all the good work is these days? I really feel that.
Yeah.
I mean, the writing is so much better than you see in movies now. I only just got into watching any of these cable things. Only Breaking Bad I saw at the end of last year.
Okay. And
my problem with it, I binge. I can't. Once I'm into it, I have to next one.
Yeah.
And I just finished the Danish, the original, The Killing.
Yeah.
And I just think they're spectacular.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that'd be an interesting.
Yeah, I don't know direction. If we can. I mean, I was just reading it this morning. I think, well, can we expand it to say 6 hours? I mean, they do 6 mini. And yeah, we might just be able to stretch it there because trying to cram as many ideas as we had in that script into 2 hours is always the problem. Yeah.
What's the premise on that one?
It's basically a middle-aged New York cop who's having a nervous breakdown.
All right.
And ends up in a child's fantasy world, or not just a fantasy world, a child's world, where he has to survive in that world by using the skills of a child, not an embittered New York cop.
Interesting. Maybe there's not much difference between the two. I don't know.
One tends to be brutal, and the other tends to be a little bit more sophisticated. The children are more sophisticated.
Yeah. So now this film was made on I would say pretty low budget for what's on screen.
What's on screen? 8.5 million is come on. It's extraordinary. Yeah.
So this is this a learned skill to be able to do this?
No, I mean I used to be, before Munchausen. My reputation was that I seemingly could do things that looked very expensive for very little money. And Munchausen went completely out of control. Nothing to do with me. It's actually true, but nevertheless. I have to live with it. And so then they thought Gilliam's out of control. It's an easier way to deal with the guy that will embarrass a studio head over Brazil.
Of course, yeah. Sure.
So that's easy. And yeah, but I've always worked pretty restricted ways, and this one was just more restricted. So it was a test of how clever one could be.
Yeah, sure. I remember seeing Munchausen. I was in college and not too far, a few blocks from here, and it was great. And back then we didn't have the internet, and we didn't, like I wasn't reading the trades. All I knew was the movie the final product that I saw on screen.
Yeah.
So.
But that's the problem, though. People know too much.
Yeah.
This is information that shouldn't be, unless you're a professional in the film business.
Right.
But everybody seems to want to know every detail about filmmaking.
Yeah.
I mean, originally when it started, people had an interest in that. Oh, that's very interesting. But now, if a film doesn't do well in the box office, people's view of the film is skewed because nobody wants to like a film that didn't do well.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people equate box office with quality now. They don't even understand. I don't understand the math behind half of these things, let alone just...
Well, I mean, watching it from my side of things, when you watch distribution, marketing going wrong, I mean, they're just doing all the wrong things. Yeah. A film doesn't have a chance. Whether it's a good or bad film is almost beside the point. And when I look at most of my stuff, I kind of put it down to good marketing, most of the ones that work.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, obviously some have a potentially larger audience than others. That's all. That's the nature of the film.
Yeah. All right. Last question. Can you just tell me about? I heard you have an autobiography in the works.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It was me talking into a microphone, and then somebody else putting it in a coherent order. I'm referring to it as a memoir.
That's the best kind of autobiography, right?
It's me. That's all about. Fuck the rest of them. I mean, they're just background wallpaper for my life.
Do you get into the process of the nitty gritty of how some of these films came about, though?
Some of them. It's an odd one because the way it was done is my daughter dug up a lot of photographs of my art. It was originally going to be a book about my art, and so we sat there with an iPad, tape recorder going, and I would talk about that. And then it kind of grew into this other thing. And it's not really a full-blown autobiography because the minute I was having a look at it last week, and there's so many things that are left out, but it reads quite nicely. So, okay, I can't.
You got to leave something for the sequel.
Well, there you go. Yeah, that's it.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Gilliam.
Thanks.